and a very warm welcome to you. It's my pleasure to welcome you to another edition of Editors Forum. I am Rita Omodia. And of course, on this program, we get to discuss reports, updates, headline stories that are caught within the week. It's the 12th day of the month of December, and of course, it's the countdown to the 12 days of Christmas. I know this year has taken quite a number of turns. A lot of people were not expecting this year to turn out the way it was, but if you're watching the show, you need to be grateful for being alive till the month of December. And of course, we're hopeful that the Christmas season, I can see lights already going on, and you know, when you see the Christmas light, there's this spirit of hope it gives. So we're still hoping for the best in the year 2021. Of course, one major thing that disrupted most activities in the world was that of the COVID-19 pandemic that ravaged the world globally. And unfortunately, we're having a resurgence of cases in Nigeria. So once again, we would implore you to stay safe. Make sure you use all the COVID-19 safety protocols. Make sure you wash your hands daily. When you're going out, you come back into your houses, please wash your hands. And if you're not with soap and water, do make use of alcohol-based sanitizers. I will say earlier on, it's based on personal hygiene. You know, your health is your wealth. Of course, once again, I welcome you to the show, Editors Forum. I am Rita Omodia, and I'll not be alone on today's edition of the show. I have with me Tony Nwaje. He's the publisher, the recorder, NG.
Thank you so much, Rita.
Thank you very much for joining us on the show. So how's it been so far? What's the preparation for Christmas?
I'm waiting for Christmas to come.
Waiting for Christmas to come. All right, okay. Let's hear from you, Ayo Baje. He's the President Guild of Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria. I know it's not easy preparing for Christmas in this particular, with different things that have happened this year.
Well, we are recipients of God's divine grace. Like you said, we are alive.
Yeah.
And then those who are alive are the ones that have hope. So things will be better by the special grace of God. All
right, of course, we're hopeful that things will be better. Well, on this show, lots of stories made headlines this week, and the major one was, I think for the past 2 weeks, we've been discussing the issue of insecurity, and of course, one major one was the killing of about 43, according to reports, because we had different reports about many farmers were killed, but at least the major one we have was about 43 rice farmers that were slain on their farms in the Zabamari area of Katsina State, and it was really a very sorrowful one for a lot of people. Now in the north, we've been having lots of killings going on. And the House of Representatives said, okay, we need to know what exactly President Muhammadu Buhari is doing on the issue of insecurity. And so he was summoned to come before the joint sitting of the National Assembly, that is the Senate and of course the House of Representatives. But unfortunately, a day before he was to come, we had the news from the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, saying that the NAS, that's the National Assembly, does not have any power to summon President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, this was after confirmation that Buhari would come before the House of Reps, as I said earlier on last week. And of course, this was disclosed to us by one of the president's social media, personal assistant on social media, Loretta Onochie, who announced on Monday, December 7th, that the president will address a joint session of the National Assembly. And to the shock, a lot of people, President Muhammadu Buhari did not appear before the National Assembly on Thursday, and we had lots of people who were actually buying the idea that the president should not come before the National Assembly. It had the governors, some of them, there were diverse reactions on whether the president should appear or not, and of course even the Deputy Senate President, Obioma Agege, was of the opinion that the National Assembly did not have the right to summon President Muhammadu Buhari. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives yesterday said they await communication over Buhari's absence at the National Assembly. Let's take a look at that clip and we'll be right back.
Last week, I recall that this House passed a resolution inviting the President to come and address us on certain issues bordering on security and related matters. Subsequently, I read that the President had consented to attend. And something like that as well. I noticed that subject being an item on the other paper. I think on Tuesday, although it was skipped eventually. And events since then have since shown that the resolution passed by this House has been flagrantly disrespected.
The channels of communication are procedural, and we'll await for official communication from Mr. President as opposed to newspaper reports. Thank you.
We are yet to receive a formal communication from the Office of the President stating that this appointment has been cancelled or shifted. We've not gotten any communication from the President saying that I am no more coming. All you have read about has been from unofficial sources. The question then becomes, what is the relevance of this visit? Many have been asking this question. Is it morally, is it legally right to have this engagement? Nigerians have been addressing this question from yesterday till today. And I'm sure the parliament does not have a different voice from the voice of Nigerians. Now the question as to whether or not we have the legal position to invite Mr. President. Somehow I would have said, let's leave the interpretation, judicial interpretation of the provisions of the Constitution to be in the hands of the judiciary. But as a lawyer, well tutored in constitutional law, I can assure you the Parliament did not act in error.
You're welcome back. You're still on to Editors Forum, exclusive to Galaxy Television. We heard there from the House of Representatives. You saw the Speaker there of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, saying they're still awaiting communication from the presidency as regards why he did not show up at the National Assembly. And the House spokesman there, Benjamin Kalu, said he still believes in the integrity of the president. And of course, they were in all justification to invite the president before the National Assembly. Now, earlier on, as I said earlier on, the killings, or rather the summoning of the president, was against the killings of about 43 rice farmers in Sabamari village in Borno State, not Katsina State. Well, in Katsina, we also had abductions of school children there. So in the north, we would see that insecurity is really a major issue there. And of course, even globally, rather in Nigeria, as the Yuletide season draws near. Now, we are against moral backgrounds and legal backgrounds, whether or not the president should appear before the Senate. A lot of lawyers have given backing on why the president should have appeared before the House of Representatives, even though the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, said that the House does not have the power to summon the president. So Ayobaje, would you have expected the president, despite the pressure, because I told you that even the governors and even from the National Assembly, there were diverse views on whether the president should appear or not. But in the matter of insecurity, would you have expected the president to have showed up on Thursday?
Thank you very much for that question. We have to look at the norms, the ethos, the ethics, and of course the legal, powers that the members of the House of Reps have with regards to exactly the invitation they've more or less given to Mr. President to appear and explain some issues, some steps that have been taken. So, for me, I think this throws up a lot of burning questions. Questions as, one, what is democracy all about? If the president is not accountable to the people, who are the members of the House of Reps? They are representing, or are supposed to represent, the interests, the wishes, the aspirations, the dreams and desires of Nigerians. So, is Mr. President accountable to only himself and the inner or the kitchen cabinet? Not at all. Going by sections 88 and section 89 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, it is clearly spelled out there. The members of the House of Reps, they have that power. Even not just the whole house. If you have committees or subcommittees there, and they have issues that they do not, feel satisfied about, they can, extend an invitation, ask that those who are concerned should come and explain this. Let me say this. We have a situation on ground that over the past 4 or 5 years is playing out as if it is, we are running a government of they and we. That gap, that lacuna is there, and it's been strengthened all over and over and again. I was highly disappointed, in fact, surprised that the presidency will make a statement that those of us who come on here, who talk, who are speaking truth to power, we are professional, critics. I cannot imagine it. What is government? It's the combination of, both the leaders and the led majority. The leaders cannot just be there in a vacuum. They cannot act in a vacuum. They cannot come out and say they know what we want. So, if you don't appear before the House of Reps, but when it comes to budget presentation, you still appear before them. So, what does that tell you? That tells you specifically that there is this king-slave mentality that is playing out in a democratic setting that shouldn't be. We are not running a feudal system. Mm-hmm. We are not running a dictatorship. No, we are running a government of the people, by the people, for and should be for the interest of the people. So, for instance, those people who come back to us and who are, the representatives, who ask them questions. What is really happening? Why is Mr. President not sacking the service chiefs, despite the killings that are going on? Then we ask, why is the government, the federal government, not really acting as it should, considering the humongous sums of money that have been budgeted over the past 5 years to tackle insecurity? So there is no, when you look at the huge sums of money said to have, been spent, about 6.1 trillion. Mm-hmm. Over the past 5 years, fighting insecurity, there is no value for the money. And it's our common money. Then, we ask some pertinent questions. For instance, Senator Ali Ndume has he mentioned this issue that it is morally wrong, right, for you to say you give amnesty to so-called repentant Boko Haram members. You feed them and you educate them, or you send them for courses even outside Nigeria with our own money. And he said that there was a case of one of them that even went and killed his father. So the things that are playing out, raises some questions that who is really in charge in terms of security. For instance, too, we go back to 2014, 2015. What were the promises that were made to Nigerians by the ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC? One, insecurity, that they will tackle it headlong. They say, if Jonathan could not, what Jonathan could not do for 4 or 5 years, they will do it within 1 year or 2. Yeah. So about 5 years on, see where we are, and it's getting worse by the day. So that is a very, very critical question that is demanding answers. You also see that insecurity affects other things. It affects economic growth. We are already in the second recession within the 5 years. Mm-hmm. So, if you don't tackle that insecurity, what are you going to do about it? And then I used to ask and remind people in government that what is the role of government? The role of government is clearly spelled out in section 14 subsection 2B of the 1999 Constitution as amended. 1, to guarantee security of every citizen. That is number 1. So, which means that if there is insecurity and it goes on and on, it means there is no what? There is no government in place. Yeah. And that is exactly what is playing out. Then the second aspect of it is to provide the welfare. You can see the issues of the effects or the spin-off effects of insecurity on job creation, insecurity on job losses. Mm-hmm. The president, even on the moral ground, ought to have a more or less read out on his own. What Malami said, I was highly disappointed about it, because those in government are not there for themselves. They are there for us. They are there for to meet our needs, our aspirations, and we keep on lamenting over issues of this nature. And I think some of us that clamor for restructuring, we know what we are saying. We don't need a very strong center. We need decentralize that power. Let it go to the states or the geopolitical zones, and then each geopolitical zone will know exactly what to do their resources and how to take care of. They will look at their challenges and itemize, and then prioritize them, and then start tackling them one after the other. So, for me, as a concerned Nigerian, I'm highly disappointed, and I believe that, just like the other man said,
not a professional critic.
Yes. I'm not just I'm not a professional critic. I'm doing this out of love for this country, out of passion, out of commitment that Nigeria can be far better than what we have now. The gap between what God has blessed us with and where the parlous situation, the pitiable situation that Nigerians find themselves as the poorest set of people in the world, the most insecure people in the world, the ones with the highest number of school-age children that are out of school. That gap cannot be explained.
Okay. Okay, now judging from Ayabaja's resentment to the fact that President Muhammadu Buhari did not appear before the NAS. Now, earlier on, a lot of people were expecting that this was going to show how democratic President Muhammadu Buhari's position was. But now, even within the caucus, we saw the Deputy Senate President, Obioma Agege, even kicking against the invitation of the presidency. And even some governors there during the meeting said the president should not appear before the National Assembly. What would you say concerning this diverse views there? Because it seems the House is even divided against itself.
No, it's not about the House being divided against itself. It gives you an idea of who is superintending over the affairs of the country. A situation where an arm of government, a powerful arm as the National Assembly, reached out to the president. They did not summon him. They only begged him to appear and let Nigerians know what's going on. And then just a day before he was supposed to appear, the Nigerian Governors Forum, I think they met in Aso Rock.
Yeah.
And I think I heard the governor of Ekiti State saying the president shouldn't appear. And then Malami came out, and then the president actually listened. And I was praying he wouldn't listen to them. I would tell them, no, I'm the father of the nation. I'm the president of the country. Let me go and talk to them. Let me reassure them. Let me tell them how far we've gone. That's not our fault. We are trying our best. It's unfortunate it went this way, but we are trying more. These are the issues. These are the things we've rolled out. In the next couple of days, Nigerians will start seeing it. That's unfortunate it happened this way. Give Nigerians assurance that it won't happen again. That's all. Nobody's going to come there to harass him. But I know, the moment they invited him, and then the House of Reps were jubilating, and I was wondering, because the president, I know he wasn't coming. I know he wasn't coming. I know he was, and I was surprised. When the message came, okay, Loretta on the chair said, Loretta on the chair is not even Gaba show. It's not Femi additional. And then at the end of the day, he didn't come. Malami wouldn't have told the president. The president wasn't coming. He wasn't coming in the first instance. They were just using it as a cover. He wasn't coming to say. When was the last time the president spoke to Nigerians? It's sad. It's just unfortunate. This is what we're facing right now. And yesterday was in that, like, people should go, I beg, I don't need all this noise. It's just the reality. What Nigerians should be prepared, what Nigerians should, saddle themselves with now, is to prepare for the next 3 years. But waiting for the present president of Nigeria to speak to, it's not, I've heard people say, people who are working for him, it's not his time. And I didn't hear this during the election, when he was campaigning, that is not his time. He would have said so. What do you mean it's not his time? And these are people who are facing him at the moment. It's only in Nigeria. People are being slaughtered. What is the big deal for the president to even say, even without not invited, to say, I want to go to the national, let me go and
explain myself.
Call the speaker or call the Senate president. But what that amazed me most was when the Senate, distanced themselves from, and I'm wondering. And tomorrow they will call them rubber stamp legislation. Isn't it obvious? So because the House invited the president, they cannot come together. What is the big deal in doing that? I would have expected the Senate president to, make sure that the president appear. Just a phone call or drive. They go to Aso Rock every day, and I wonder. And they are seated. I want to watch what will happen in the next life. I'm watching the House Committee on Media chairman saying, okay, they've not communicated to them. Hopefully, they are hoping Who will communicate to them? They don't value them. They cheapen themselves so low that the presidency does not value them. They don't value them, and that's what I think they should be. That should be their problem right now. But because we know what's going on, they won't talk. It's so sad. It's unfortunate, but this is what Nigerians should be prepared for. It can't change now. It has done 4 years. What is different? So why do you want him right now? He's not even going to another office.
You were expecting that this was supposed to be a turning point for
you would have taken the opportunity to reassure Nigerians. People have been, it's so absurd that under this government here people say no, it's just one. It's 2 people that died, it's 3. Life doesn't count.
Death is death.
Okay. It doesn't count. That was the volume. Okay, 10, 2. And so what? And so what? So they don't value it as anything. If you will be there before they invite you.
Exactly.
I say I want to come or you want to speak, go online, go on TV, invite the media. But it's not a style. The handlers have said so. So why are we bothering ourselves? I'm not surprised because I know no matter what, he's going to spend 1 week in Daura. By the time he comes back, all this noise will be over and life goes on. Okay,
well, we're still, as the House of Representatives said, we're still waiting communication from the presidency as to why he did not appear before the National Assembly. Probably there's a genuine reason behind his absence there. Meanwhile, as Tony Nwaji has rightly said, President Muhammadu Buhari went for a week-long private business in Daura, Katsina State, probably to discuss private issues, probably on insecurity. Well, we do not know what exactly it was. Is on a private week-long visit in Daura. While insecurity continues and lots of people expect more from the presidency, we will also know that part of the docket points also is for the sack of the service chiefs, which the presidency has said this is not going to happen. Now, back to issues concerning Nigerians. Now, I think there was a glimmer of hope for some people, and for some other people, it wasn't anything substantial, as the federal government reduced the pump price of premium motor spirit, otherwise known as petrol, from 168 naira to 162 naira 44 kobo per litre, with effect from December 14, 2020. Now, this was said on Tuesday, but it was going to take effect. It said last week Tuesday. It's going to take effect from December 14th. That's on Monday. Now, this disclosure was made by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, while speaking to newsmen at the end of a meeting with Labour leaders, which began around 9 p.m. on Monday and ended at 1:30 a.m. on Tuesday. We would know that lots of Nigerians were expecting so much from Nigeria Labour Congress, and Nigeria Labour Congress has been in talks with the federal government concerning the price of fuel. Now, the minister explained that the price reduction, which is a product of a joint committee of NNPC and representatives of Labour, will not impact on government's deregulation policy, as it did not affect the price of crude oil, but in areas where the NNPC, as the main importer, had agreed that it could costs at freight and demurrage costs. Now, on electricity tariff, both sides agreed to wait till the next meeting on January 25th to enable the special committee dealing with complaints to conclude their deliberations. We know that two major hikes now was that of fuel price and of course electricity. Now Labour and of course the federal government is saying that till January 25 before they make a conclusion on that. So now we're seeing a 5 naira deduction from the fuel price. The way Tony Nwaji is looking at me, it's like for you, at this point in time where the value of the naira is really low, and you're looking at me like, what exactly is this?
What is 5 naira?
It's something. It's a change.
They won't have the guts to say they will implement it next week. But when it's an increment, under 24 hours it's done.
It's done.
Because we don't have people. We don't have organizations that sanction bad behavior. Everybody is misbehaving the way they want. Okay, that fight, no wahala, but can you bring it down immediately? They said they will do. They dictate to them. Marketers are telling government what to do because they know they've been compromised. They've been compromised. What is 5 naira? Let me even start from there. What is 5 naira for crying out loud? Where was fuel before now? And what led to this? They increased pump price, you increase electricity tariff at these COVID times, and then we're still waiting Marketers are saying, no, we're not going to do that now. We'll wait till next week. And Nigerians are quiet. And nobody is talking. Minister of Petroleum is not talking. Minister of State is not talking. Minister of Labor that spoke on behalf of Minister, because I don't know, that I believe, I was thinking that Minister of Petroleum, there should be, I don't know. Somebody's supposed to do it, not Minister. And maybe that's why it's not even taking effect. Maybe that's why they're not even taking it serious. And I won't be surprised too if by next week nothing happens. It's just so sad. I don't know when we're going to leave this. Come out of this hardship. Just when other countries are seeing how they can come, meet at the middle point on how to help the citizens. It's been difficult globally. Well, here in Nigeria, government is not feeling it. I got a NEPA or whatever, I catch an electric bill yesterday, and I shouted. For something you don't even, okay, for instance, in my office, this month I wasn't even there. And they sent a bill of close to 50,000. And I'm wondering, who's going to pay for it?
You pay for that.
Who's going to pay it? And a lot of people, I've done my research, a lot of people are giving that same figure. Exactly. What is the minimum wage? 40,000, 50,000 to pay? And you're refusing to give prepaid meter? How is government even coming to, okay, how do we expect people to be happy with you? Every day you're dishing out draconian policies, things that people are not happy with. You're not even bothered about their feelings. And I heard somebody, one of them, saying a Nigerian should contribute to the growth of the nation. How? What is the government doing for you? In this same country, you're doing everything yourself. People come around, they secure themselves, they build roads, they do boreholes, they do a whole lot. And then you're telling people that what else do you want? They should die? What is government doing for the people? What is government doing for the people? I can't see it. It's been difficult living in Nigeria. I don't know. We have leaders who are not even feeling it. They're only bothered about themselves. And people go to court and collapse because it's time to vomit what? Please,
okay, I imagine now. Do you see this 5 naira as something at least? At least they made a move.
It's nothing.
Because I think this year we've had the price of fuel change almost
it
like 4 times.
It doesn't make any difference. If, for instance, you want to buy 10-liter fuel now, you will see it's still the same thing. It's still the same, and I can assure you that by January, expect an increment. It's just a game.
Okay, let's hear from Ayo.
Yeah, the issue is this. Nigerians, we love, you know what we love? We love to deceive ourselves. Self-deceit. And we keep wallowing in it.
Say you deregulated.
And you think, do you know the meaning of deregulation? What is the government, this federal government, what is his business as far as the oil industry is concerned? Why? They tell us they spend about 10 billion naira on turnaround maintenance of 4 refineries or 3 out of the 4 refineries, and then what do you have at the end of the day? Not one drop of crude oil is produced in an oil producing country. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. There is no level playing field. And the other day, an online post, and of course it was not denied, humongous sums of money earmarked for salaries and emoluments and whatever of the NNPC in a country that you are not producing. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So the issue is this: what was good, or you called it bad under Goodluck Jonathan, is sweet.
It's good now, yeah.
Under APC government. That is self-deceit. All those who gather themselves in thousands to that Ojota, the park. None of them is
cool now.
Voice now. They're cool. Everybody is afraid of what the federal government is going to do to them. What manner of democracy is that? That does not take into consideration the feelings of the led majority and keeps on dishing out policies that are anti-people. It doesn't add up, because I have made this comparison to you and even in the public before. You are a farmer, you have big yams, and then you have 4 wives, and you say, no, these are my 4 wives, I don't want any one of them to pound the yam for me. You take the yams outside. Some other women in other villages pound the yam for you. They bring the pounded yam and you pay exorbitant.
They sell to you.
Doesn't make any common sense. Doesn't make any economic sense. See, we keep on in these policy flip-flops, where and at the same time you look at what? You look at the type of, the manner of people that are manning this NNPC, the oil industry. Who are those that are really in it? Are they not using it as drain pipe for self instead of for the state? So these are the things that we keep on asking. So if there is real deregulation, like Obizekwesili said, let there be a level playing field. And you know, a presidential candidate in the previous election said, if I win, I will sell off the refineries. And that, for me, it has nothing to do with politics. Sell off this refineries.
That's like privatization of the refineries.
That's it.
Yes, no. Well, they can't do it now.
What are you doing? How can you keep on spending money on what?
You say you're deregulated,
you say you are deregulated and you are still controlling it. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. And of course, the pain is that it is the ordinary Nigerian, you and I, that keep on bearing the brunt. You know, whenever I come here or any other forum, I used to say this, that, and he did make a link to it, that what is the government doing for the people? Sometimes in my sober moments, I just sit down and I say, when I look at the ordinary, those who are really on daily hustles, and I ask myself, how are they surviving? How are they able to feed themselves, their families? How are they able to send their children to school? How are they, making ends meet? It's very, very difficult. But the pain is that God has blessed us with all these natural resources, but
bad leadership.
But bad leadership, wicked, self-serving, greedy, avaricious. You know what we call the restless run of locusts. Just to eat, just to take, nothing to add. That's what we have today. So, an oil producing country, the only OPEC country that sells at the prices we are selling. And then you say there is regulation and the market forces will determine and then the government is still having a hand in it. No.
Okay, while I was looking at the economy matters now, as you said earlier on, Nigeria entered its second phase of recession, and of course this has triggered lots of fears among people. And of course, one major issue is this culture of borrowing. Now, a communique from the 22nd NGF, that's Nigeria Governors Forum teleconference meeting, said the forum was adopting a proposal by the National Economic Council NEC ad hoc committee on leveraging a portion of accumulated pension funds for investment. Of course, you know that pension is the money gotten after retirement. And of course, we've had lots of people who still complain of not getting their pensions. Well, civil society organization, our Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, sent an open letter to President Muhammadu Buhari urging him to use his good offices and leadership position to urgently instruct the Director General and Board of the National Pension Commission to use their statutory powers to stop the 36 state governors from borrowing or withdrawing 17 trillion naira from the pension funds purportedly for infrastructural development. Now, he said allowing the governors to borrow from pension funds would be detrimental to the interests of the beneficiaries of these funds, especially given the vulnerability of pension funds to corruption in Nigeria and the transparency and accountability deficit in several states. Now, we have now moved from borrowing from outside country to now borrowing from state pension funds for infrastructural development. Tony Nwaji, what's your take on this?
Yes, please, let me just conclude on that 5 naira reduction.
Okay, all right.
Let Nigerian government be serious, you see. And what happened recently with the NSAS should ordinarily have woken them to the realization that Nigerians are now, they know what is happening. That Nigerians are now aware. And they may have tamed this one, but the next one, they may not be able to tame it. They may not be able to control it. If you want prices of fuel to come down, please, can you just fix Nigerian refineries? If we are sincere with ourselves, can we just fix our refineries? We cannot have crude oil and be taking them out to refine and return. We can build those refineries here. If you cannot, as a government, can you privatize it and be sincere about it? Nigerians who want to invest in that sector are ready. Be open, be transparent. People will come out, invest, and we don't need to take our crude oil and bring it back to Nigeria. I can assure you, when we do it like that, the price of fuel, petroleum product will come down. They're all benefiting from what this is going on now, and it's so sad. But I know one day, it's just a matter of time. It won't last forever. Okay. So on the pension, on a good day, those governors, they're supposed to be, flog them for even thinking about it. Whoever among them that thought about it in the first, I know some of them, one of them actually thought about, how can you reason? Okay, we borrowed everywhere now. Where do we invade now? Pension. When that pension has not even gotten to the people, that money was intended. Isn't that same pension fund that Mina was fainting for yesterday? Coming to that issue. Yes. Was it not? Yeah. The same. So they've noticed that there's an idle money somewhere, and one of them actually has, and they came out. They thought about it and they say, there's difference between thinking about something and then actually saying it. They said it without any fear because they know that Nigerians require it. And I can assure you, they may even forget what Sarah said. They are still vehement on it. And I see them going further to do it. Because the president has told them, borrow for infrastructure. What can you show me one infrastructures across the states that are unique? They are giving people cassava stem. They are giving people wheelbarrow. At this age and time, 21st century. And people worship them. People worship them. What are they borrowing it for? What are they going to do? Can you? They should show us a plan. What do they intend to use? Please, and if I don't even want to think about it. They should link Nigerian pension funds for pensioners. They should let this money go to the people, because my father is a pensioner, and every month he complains a lot. Somebody is above 75, close to 80. He's above 80. You tell the person, you have to go to this place for verification. You have to go at this age and time. And then you have to carry the person there. You have to wait the whole day. I won't say this government is wicked, but something close to it. And then some people will now sit down and say, that's a pension fund. We will go. We will go and borrow it. Borrow it how? Why? So that people will spend it and not pay back. How are you going to pay back? Then at the end of the day, what you hear is, future generation. Definitely, that's what will happen. Because there's no repayment plan. I've not seen it. I've not heard it. What I heard is they want to go there and break that bank and steal Nigerian people's pension. People have labored over the years. They are politicians. They go into this office. After 4 years, they have so much. Every 2 years, they change their cars. They give them 2 or maybe like 4, like most governors do. You're stupendously rich after 4 years serving the Nigerian government. Somebody who worked for 30 years, that's little pension he was saving. He or she was saving. Now, politicians are coming now. They are looking for that pension. And you're telling me they're not wicked.
I am about to say
let me say this. It's an issue that has touched my heart over the years. I remember that sometime in 2011, I had to, one of my opinion essays, titled Nigeria's Debilitating Debt Profile. I never knew that it was going to escalate to this level. In 2017, I wrote another one. Who will pay these huge debts? I brought the collection of my write-ups, Drumbeats of Democracy. I showed you here. That was launched in 2018. Nigeria is, you can imagine a well, a deep well. in terms of the debt profile, we are at the bottom of a deep well.
Still sinking.
And still sinking in the quagmire of that. It's not it's not a matter, to even joke about, because one of the debts owed China, it will take 30 years for Nigerians to pay. Where are the resources?
They are still going.
They are likely, just like they've done in two, South African countries, they are likely to take over some of our infrastructural, or some ministries or some departments of this, government that we are talking about. Now, you borrow money from the World Bank. You borrow money from China. You borrow money even from Brazil, a country that should be at par with you. And now, you have thought about there's no creative ingenuity to think about how do we raise money here and there, and then what you want to do now is to dip your hand in the pensions fund. That is the height of inhumanity to man. It is the height of cruelty. It is the height of, for instance, just think back 1 or 2 years ago, there was a refund. Right? A refund of the Paris Club or whatever that was given to these same governors. What have they done with it? And it is a crying shame that most of these governors are not even able to pay. They are not, the money is there, but they are not paying what? They are not paying the workers. Now, what is the lesson that we should learn from this? The old pensioners, and I've written about the suffering that they've gone through. These pensioners, just like he said, they are really, facing serious challenges in terms of getting what is due for them. So the workers now who are, still in service will be looking at this. So, is this how I'm going to end up? So if there's any money that I can steal, will I not steal now? That is, I hope you get what I'm saying. That is the message that is being sent to these people, that your pension is not even safe. There is no guarantee that when you leave service, you are going to get this. So the governors are deeply.
So what advise the governors, apart from borrowing now, what other way can they generate revenue? What other way would you expect?
There are several ways that they can generate revenue. But first, restructure this country so that the powers are given to the states and the geopolitical rules to control their resources and do whatever they want to do with it. Look at Zamfara.
Are you sure that if you restructure and then you allow the governors, we know that we're still faced with a whole level of corruption. Are you sure there won't be corruption?
Very good. Let me. I used to give this example, and I'll give it here again.
Okay.
In the First Republic, what do you have? The regions were on their own. So, thank God that Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the sage of blessed memory, what did he do? The cocoa revenue that was coming, and I used to say that revenue could have even been much higher if the cocoa beans were being processed before they were exported. But the revenue that they were getting, because they had that opportunity of controlling their resources, they were able to use it for what? To fund free education, to ensure that you see that cocoa house, the first television station in Africa, so many other things that were done, even good access roads that were built with that. So the other challenge is that of the people themselves. The masses should be enlightened to that effect of, no, this is our money. It is our common money. It is our patrimony, and we don't want you to, misuse it or misapply it, or more or less steal from it for
more like accountability from the government than just
exactly. See, the structure that we run today, the economic structure, cannot favor the poor, cannot favor the ordinary Nigerian. So what we are saying, I've been advocating for this. I said, place this, politicians in office, place them on civil salary scale.
Who is going to do that? Still them. Is it not them? They will not do that.
If the people are highly enlightened, if there is political enlightenment to that level, a time will come when it will be impossible for them to dip their hands into the common purse and do what. Okay, even among these governors, we can see what the governor of Borno State is doing. Is it not the same amount that they are being given? See in spite of the challenges of insecurity in Borno State, see the excellent work that man is doing, and the others are not doing it. So we need a situation whereby the populace, who are the voters, who, get these people into positions of authority will now say, no, enough is enough. We want accountability. We want to know what comes in. We want to know how much is spent and what for.
Okay, all right. Well, this is still ongoing, and of course, they're still planning to borrow about 17 trillion naira from the pension fund. We still know that some governors are still against scrapping pensions for ex-governors, and of course, lots of people have advocated for a reduction in the cost of governance and, of course, accountability, as Ayobaje rightly said. Now, according to statistics and research, we know that the total public debt rose to about 28.6 trillion naira as of the first quarter of 2020, which is March 31st, 2020. Now, this represents a 15% increase from the figure that was recorded in the corresponding period in 2019. Now, according to data obtained from DMO, 9.9 trillion naira is a total external debt. This represents 34.89% of the total public debt stock. In other words, Nigeria is in serious debt, as our analysts have rightly said. Deep, I have they say deep in the well. Well, we expect that those in the finance ministry and the department would look at that. I'm sure you're actually aware, because I know the Zainab Ahmed actually mentioned the fact that Nigeria was in debt. So let's see how Nigeria is going to move out from this debt situation. Now, let's move over to other stories. Now, we know that within the week we were dealing with the International Day for Anti-Corruption, and one of the mandates, one of the mantras of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration was the fight against corruption and, of course, insecurity, and, of course, improving the economy. And so far, in focus now, we know of, talking about pensions, former chairman of the defunct pension reform task team, Abdulrasheed Maina, now had another day in court after collapsing on Thursday at the resumed hearing on the case of alleged money laundering. Now, Justice Okon Abang of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja on Thursday agreed to give Maina 21st December as another shot in his attempt to prove that the anti-graft agency, the EFCC, has no case against him with regard to the 12-count charge involving the sum of 2 billion naira. Maina has been facing money laundering charges of 2 billion naira. As I said in previous weeks, he jumped bail and then he was extradited from the Niger Republic, was remanded in Kuje Correctional Center, and then he appeared in court on Thursday and supposedly collapsed.
And fainted.
Health reasons, we would suppose. Tony Waje, who wants to take in this down? Yes, we have to 21st.
We have a history of politicians fainting. Just to evade justice. I remember the day NDDC, acting NDDC managing director, Gordon Ponde fainted. And I was arguing with someone. He said, no, this guy is actually, in a terrible condition, health-wise. I think, no, it's not fake. I argued with the person, and the person was telling me I should forget it. This is not Nigeria. That I should watch. I said no. From what it was a live transmission. I saw the guy went down, and then suddenly he came on, and then he went off again. and I was watching. Then when they rescued him, I saw him walking out. I was wondering. And then the next day, I thought he would be at the intensive care unit of a hospital. Yeah. He didn't go to the hospital, and I learned he went home. That was when I knew that Nigerian politicians they've developed that art of, fainting. This is not the first. It wasn't the first. The first history, Olisametu and Dino Melaya and all that.
Yeah.
And then I noticed another trend that immediately after such moves, that matter you never hear about it again. That House Committee hearing on NDDC, the matter has died. That's the end of it. It was only Justice Okon Abang that when Olisametu fainted, he said the trial must continue. That he should go and rescue him and bring him back. That same Justice Abang was the judge at this Maina's case. Yeah. And I'm surprised they said, okay, let's see how December. So it has to stop. It has to stop. And I think there's a trend. And I think our judiciary needs to sit up. I don't know. They can't sit up. It's not by mounting it. It's beyond us as a people. It's beyond the system. There's something holding the country in all sectors. Because These people somebody advised him to do it. And he did it and exactly got that result.
I think medical reasons now has become like a major...
No, yeah, and I think that's where the judiciary has to come in. Anytime anybody slumps like that, take them somewhere and they...
Well, there should be a doctor available or something.
Yes, exactly. It has to stop. We are talking about corruption here. We want to fight corruption. How can we... If that's the only means that, they're using to evade justice, it's working for them. We are talking about money stolen from the national jar, the national treasury.
Yeah.
You must account for it.
Naira.
So if you like faint 20 times, except you die. As long as you're fainting, they should be reviving you, so you give account. So they don't say they set a trend. It's happening.
Okay.
It's happening, and I can show you. I trust the judge in charge of this case. But where's NDDC case? Where's the National Assembly hearing on that matter? It's over.
Okay, still looking at the medical conditions now. Also on trial was, of course, a former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, and that is Mohammed Adoke, who has been granted permission by the Federal High Court in Abuja to travel for a medical checkup at the United Arab Emirates, where he was in exile for about 5 years. And a lot of condemnations have actually gone on this giving of, or rather allowing him to go on the medical trip, because lots of people were saying...
To see that UAE, the same UAE.
The same UAE was exiled in Ayobaje.
I've told you, let's keep on deceiving ourselves. Let's, say that we are fighting against corruption. In fact, in the first instance, Nigerians don't even know the meaning of corruption. I'm telling you, exactly. We don't understand what is meant by corruption. Talk less about fighting it or fighting against it. Go and check your dictionary. What is corruption? It's not just about stealing money.
Yeah.
That's just the financial aspect of it. If there are extant laws, rules and regulations, and you violate any, that's an act of corruption. But we have fixated our minds on the issue of financial misappropriation, all the scams, all the sleaze, because of the monumental proportion that they have reached out. I mean, if we look at it now. And of course, the deleterious effects on the, what we call the Human Development Index of the average Nigerian. The pain is that a group of people came up and said they were going to fight against this insidious culture of crass corruption in high places. And we say, oh, you are the new saviors. You are saviors. Oh, yeah, you are welcome. Come and fight against corruption. But years down the line, where do we see? We have seen the lopsided fight against corruption. That is one. What we are seeing is just like season 3. Act 1, scene 1. The whole thing will come back, and in physics there is what we call the Doppler's effect. Immediately I bang this, you hear the sound. After some few minutes, you don't hear anything.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what is playing out.
Tony Wade said there's a problem in the judicial sector. What other problems do you see again?
Well, you see, we have to have very stringent laws, conditions against. I mean, you cannot try this in China or even any country in Southeast Asia. So some people have said it. Anybody that has credible evidence against and it is proven in the law court, such fellows should face the maximum of. There should be something as a that will act as a form of deterrent against this. You see, I used to make mention of this. If you, as a father in a family, you have children, and maybe there are one or two that keep on doing the wrong thing, and you are papering over cracks. You keep on defending them and all the rest. It will, snowball. It will backfire at one time or the other. But I know that Nigerians, we cannot go on like this in this self-deceit. We cannot go on like this, in the culture of impunity. People do, very grievous things, and you slap them on the wrist and you say, go and see no more. It doesn't happen. Okay. It will not. In fact,
so we need stiffer penalties.
Stiffer penalties are needed, and effects, and make sure that nobody, whoever is really ready to fight against corruption, should be ready to die.
You can't jump bail.
Okay,
Adoke is facing trial, and at the same time going on medical checkup outside the country. When he is facing trial, what happened if he doesn't return? And he cannot do a medical checkup in Nigeria. I didn't read anywhere where and I didn't see anywhere where his life is at risk.
Just for medical
checkup.
checkup.
If it's medical checkup, why not just do it? But it tells you there are laws for big men in Nigeria, there are laws for politicians, and there are laws for non-politicians or for people who doesn't belong to government, within government circles. I see no reason whatsoever why that judge should grant Adoke that leave to travel abroad for medical checkup, not at these COVID times. Something is wrong. Again, something is wrong with our judicial system.
Well, still looking at stiffer penalties, the judicial system. Lots of people are against the fact that Adoke was granted permission to go for a medical trip. Back here in Nigeria, we know that COVID-19 brought lots of lapses in our medical health sector, and now we're having a resurgence of COVID-19 cases. As at December 10th, we had about 600 and something new cases, and December 11th, we had 796 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria, and that is really, really alarming. We also know that the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is to go into self-isolation after one of his close aides tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday. I know we're in the Yuletide season, the economy is gradually going back. I see people throwing away any sort of COVID-19 protocol, spitting anyhow, and not observing good personal hygiene. Please and please, we don't want a situation of a lockdown or any of such a thing in this period. Please try and maintain all the safety precautions as against the spread of COVID-19. Wash your hands well, make use of your face mask when you're in a crowded environment. The weather is getting cold. In the US, we have lots of deaths. I think globally, we have about 69.62 million people who have had, or rather reported, infected with the virus. And number of deaths globally, we have 1,583,966 people have died. COVID-19 is real. Please observe all the protocols. Thank you very much to Minwaje, Ayo Badger. Of course, my beloved audience, thank you for being a part of Editors Forum. Do join us same time, same station next week, God's willing, for another edition of Editors Forum. I am Rita Omodia. Do stay safe.